roguelites have exploded in popularity over the years, from 19 games with the tag on Steam in 2013 to an astounding 638 titles in 2022, but this 10-year period saw a total of 2,180 such games, so I thought that it would be fun to pick one per year, so let's begin with my darling, my beloved, my baby, Rogue Legacy, the self-styled genealogical roguelite title in which you play as successive members of a family of heroes, with each child succeeding their parents as the next playable character. This is the game that got me into indie games all those many years ago, and I still fondly think back on the time that I spent with this, with, at the time, incorporating Metroidvania style abilities and design, being ingenious and laying the foundation for other fantastic titles, and while there is a sequel, Rogue Legacy 2, I do still think this is worth a play. This video is brought to you by Galactic Glitch Infinity's Edge, an arena action roguelite title but with physics, having fast-paced action and satisfying combat. In classic space shooters, think asteroids for example, projectiles move in a straight line and then go off the screen if they miss, but in this case, the play area is bounded by an elastic bubble, and you do have access to a gravity gun-like weapon and are able to do things like grab massive rocks, chuck them into the bubble, and then watch them slingshot back to destroy your enemies. You can also rip out enemy cores or to grab their missiles and throw it back, not to mention a variety of deadly weapons of your own. They are a long-time supporter of this channel, so please do me a favor and wishlist their game on Steam. It might be blasphemous for me to say this, but personally, I don't really get along with two of indie gaming's biggest roguelites in Spelunky and The Binding of Isaac, since there's something about the core game design that just doesn't jive with me. Although it might be a case of get good scrub, but I do have to recognize the significance of everybody's favorite naked crying baby boy and the Rebirth release in 2014, which, over the years, has seen the addition of significant DLCs such as Afterbirth, Afterbirth Plus, and most recently, Repentance in 2021. This game has made Edmund Macmillan a very, very rich man, and with the rabid fan base, has even made their tabletop board game, The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls, a major success. Not to forget Let's Plays series on YouTube that goes into the thousands of episodes, so I cannot understate how important this game is to indie games, and perhaps I should give this another honest shot down the line. 2015 saw the release of fan-favourite Nuclear Throne, the underrated Hand of Fate, and the unique stealth secret agent title Invisible Ink, where it has been so many years that two of the above teams have wound down and one has been acquired by Tencent, which brings us to Crypt of the Necrodancer, the only actual roguelike, L-I-K-E, on the list since this is technically a turn-based, grid-based title, but the incorporation of having to move according to the beat of the music gives it an action feel. I have loved this title ever since its release, primarily due to the soundtrack, but also the pixel art, and is very unique. They released the Amplified DLC shortly after launch, and surprise release Synchrony out of nowhere in 2022 after 5 years of silence on this game, which people might still not be aware of, so I would recommend the entire package. 2016 was a special year for me since it was the year that I started this channel, and going back to my Game of the Year list, I was absolutely enraptured by Darkest Dungeon since it's great, but the more I think about it, the more I don't think it fits in the roguelite genre, since while the characters can permanently die, it doesn't end the run, so to speak, and is more along the lines of a classic turn-based RPG, so I have to give it to Enter the Gungeon, a title that I got around to later on since it wasn't even in my 2016 Game of the Year list, but over the years, I've come to appreciate how special this game is. Our heroes are on a quest to obtain a gun that can kill their own past, so it is as absurd as it sounds, with the metric ton of gun puns likely to be both poking fun and celebrating American gun culture. As is the namesake of the studio, the dodge roll to jump over projectiles is the most unique aspect, but I simply love the sheer variety of weapons and clever bosses, where the developers also released multiple significant content updates, such as Dungeons and Dragons, as well as A Farewell to Arms, all for free, and of course has great pixel art as well. There was a weird lull in roguelites in 2017 with a number of interesting games which did not hit in the same way as these other massive titles, such as Flinthook with an interesting grappling mechanic, the Indian mythology themed Asura, which I don't see anyone ever talking about, the relatively popular Heat signature from the designer of Gunpoint, which has interesting stealth elements, but I have to give it to the tremendously underrated Star of Providence, the game formerly known as Monolith. This is a room-based action roguelite with bullet hell elements, with impressive bosses and fun upgrades, and hides many secrets as well. So with Donkey publishing the Switch port of this might put more eyes on it. 2018 was an embarrassment of riches for games in this genre, including the excellent tactics title Into the Breach from the creators of FTL Faster Than Light, the all-action spell-slinging pixel art title Wizard of Legend, and cult classic and fan-favorite Lobotomy Corporation, but you cannot count out Dead Cells in the grand scheme of things. This is one of the biggest indie games of all time, with its popularity even attracting the attention of Konami with this Castlevania crossover DLC, with some of the best feeling platforming and combat, not to mention the gameplay loop of constantly gaining cells and blueprints for upgrades, so it's that popular for a reason. I remember playing this back when it launched in early access, and even then, knew that it was something special, so it's great to see confirmation on my hunch, and looks like they will continue to expand and support this game. Without a doubt, Slay the Spire takes it for 2019 since it's another one of those influential games that was so popular that it created a whole bunch of clones, some more successful than others of course, and while personally I do still prefer Monster Train, since the different demon types and variety felt more fun, I cannot stress how critical Slay the Spire has been to the long, winding road that is indie games, with the addition of a fourth character being rather unexpected, but I do think that this developer is working on something new at the moment. It's a no contest in 2020 since Hades easily surpasses all other roguelites, where the godlike roguelike remains one of my favourite indie games of all time and just clicks. I've seen some blowback on this game due to the lack of randomization of the bosses, as well as limitations to build variety, but my god, Supergiant simply executed to perfection with this game. I love that there are 6 weapons to choose from that are as varied as a bow, a sword, spear and a gun, and each in turn having 3 variants, with most of them having unique interactions with the god blessings that you can obtain. It's an emotional tale as well, and being a Supergiant game, has fantastic art, writing and music, so it's no wonder that they're working on the sequel right now, and fingers crossed it surpasses the original. In hindsight, 2021 was a weird year for indie games overall, with a number of good games but nothing really blowing everything else out the water, so the roguelite pick goes to Skull the Hero Slayer, even though games like Inscription and Loop Hero has the tag as well but are not roguelites in my opinion. This is a roguelite platformer with an interesting history, having started life as a student project while the developers were in university, and after graduation, they formed a company and continued to work on this. The sheer variety of skulls that you can equip, which changes your character class and attacks, is awesome, with some unconventional ones such as Rockstar, Minotaur, Mummy and Genie adding a ton of variety, and I always love it when games allow you to play as the quote-unquote bad guy and fight back against the humans, so this is certainly worth a play. Minor spoilers here, but my 2022 game of the year was Rogue Legacy 2, primarily because of the lineage going back to why this channel even exists in the first place, but genre creating games do carve out a space of their own, so the honour goes to Vampire Survivors, one that has spawned literally hundreds of clones to varying degrees of success, but nothing comes quite close to the original, which is basically a dopamine releasing simulator. But the interesting part is that the developer continues to add new characters, stages, upgrades, secrets, and even features like multiplayer, with the most recent update also moving it to a new engine, which allows the developers to implement larger features that were previously impossible to do so let's see what they come up with, and if you're interested in the same thing but with Metroidvanias, click on through to this video.